now we are moving ahead with our technical brand presentation. And for that, I would like to invite Dr. Sanjay Nagi, founder and managing director, Market Insight Consultants. Can we have a big round of applause for everyone? Thank you very much. Here we go with the Dr. Sanjay Nagi ji. Over to you, sir.
So I think she said what I wanted to say, that they gave me the worst slot that they could ever give again. So at least, if nothing else, I have your sympathies, right? Let's go from there. Okay, so just a quick show of hands. How many of you believe that the market is a living organism and has a mind of its own? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a few hands, but most of you believe that the market is inanimate. But I will tell you that the latest theories on marketing, etc., everyone is saying that like a customer has a mind and he thinks, and there is a thought process or a rational or irrational decision making, the market also has a mind. So we're trying to help you to decode the mind of the market. So there's a very interesting theory by Harvard Mind Institute, where they say that this is your brand and your brand is communicating to the market, and this is the market. All the communication you use is only happening at this conscious level. This conscious level. Whereas conscious mind impact is how much percent? Can you guess? Just a wild guess. Conscious is more than 90%? 20, you are right. Very right, Joshi sir. Conscious mind is only 20% of the communication. 80% of the communication is happening between the subconscious minds of the brand and the market. And that is the story. Now, what is in those subconscious minds? You communicate and then you say, farmer samajh nahi raha hai. Why is samajh nahi raha hai? Because those myths are there, those beliefs are there, those incongruencies are there. So that's all the conscious part of the mind, subconscious part of the mind, and that's 80%. So you have to believe that we have to get onto proper communication. You need to get research into the mind of the market or the mind of the customer, mind of the dealer, etc. Only then can your communication stand out. I mean, I could spend hours, I can take a whole day workshop on this subject, but they've given me very less time. The second aspect of what is most interesting in that book is that the customer likes to be talked in metaphors. So what is a metaphor? I'll just give an example in the context of an agricultural industry only. So if you say simply, my brand has the purest nutrients, your communication impact is 15%. If you say, my brand has nutrients as pure as your heart, nutrients in heart ka to koi correction nahi hai. But if you say, my brand has nutrients as pure as your heart, your believability in your communication goes up by how much percent? Nearly 80%. So that's, I mean, it's a very fascinating subject which Harvard Mind Institute has done, and I would encourage many of you to look at this. Anyway, we go on to some more general aspects on what are the communication barriers. I think during the previous sessions, this was talked about. Language literacy is a barrier. Most of the time, what happens is you are thinking in, like somebody said in one of the panels, you're thinking in an air-conditioned office, you're thinking in English, and then you're translating into Hindi or Tamil. It doesn't work. That communication doesn't work. Unless you think in Tamil and unless you think in Gujarati, you're not going to be able to communicate to the market correctly. So language and literacy is a barrier. Gender constraints, most of the time our targeting is around the males, but 33% of population is female, so we have to learn how to target them also. Digital skepticism is there because there's a lot of fear, thefts, whatever. There's a trust deficit, and many of you spoke about it. You communicate probably the right thing which happens in a lab, but there is a trust deficit happening for the brand. So then there are behavioral biases, etc. And most of all, Bhavna sir, Sushil ji said about easy to communicate, but it's also become overload of communication. Easy ho gaya, you have WhatsApp numbers also, you have so many channels also, but now they get bombarded with so many messages, they don't know really what to do and how to process that in your mind, etc. So these are some of the barriers, and we've written about this in more detail in the book that we have published. So you definitely need to participate along. I'm not making a brand presentation only on market insight. I should do that. In the next few slides, I will do that. But I think it's more important that you get some takeaways for your brands also. So cultural sensitivity. If you take a bhangra, and that's a very successful ad, and you take a bhangra to Gujarat, kya hoga aapka? Nothing will happen. So in Gujarat, you have a garba, in Punjab, you have a bhangra. So you have to have tailor-made communication in the cultural sensitivity context. Your communication should be simple, clear. You should use the trusted channels. You should have feedback loops. You should have multi-channels, not the same message, the congruency of the message, the way your brand is represented, everything must be very congruent across all those multi-channels, etc. So you can read this up in a little more detail over there. Two-step is when you're targeting the farmer, but there is a value chain involved in between. That value chain will not necessarily be the people who sell, but it may be the influencers. Like when we did the cement case, the mason is the influencer. So you only target the farmer to buy for cement for his house, it won't work. But if you involve the mason. So what we did is, we have a model in our company called 3E model. You can just note about it and we can exchange notes when there is more time. So the first E is economic. Whenever you are trying to sell something to somebody, you are trying to sell an economic benefit. The second benefit is emotional benefit. You're trying to give some aapka ye benefit, there's some emotion involved in that. And the third E is ego benefit. So when we construct a value offering in a total context and the total communication, it's around all these three. Now imagine you are a brand. I'm just giving you one way in which the emotional and ego thing works. You come out with a scholarship scheme first in that गांव, and उसके बच्चे को scholarship मिल गया आपके ब्रांड से. उसके बाद आपका ब्रांड जो भी बात करेगा, क्योंकि आपने उसका इमोशन पकड़ लिया है. Now people are only going to the advertising company and only catering to the economic benefit, and thereby they are losing out on that. So you have to capture the whole context. So ये मेरा model है, very interesting model. So we used it in the cement industry. We made JP Cement #1 because वो ACC क्या करता था उस समय. अब आजकल JP के बारे में बात करना ठीक नहीं है, but I mean it was ultimately we made this a #1 brand. So they used to put 1 rupee in the bag. वो mason निकाल लेता था 1 rupee. Now if you want to do, then you put 2 rupees. तो वो नहीं होता. हमने उसके ईगो को कैटर किया. हर गांव में हर मेसन के साथ उसके एक फोटोग्राफ ली जनरल मैनेजर की और उसको फ्रेम करा के उसको दे दी. कहाँ तो कंपनी का इवन सेल्स मैनेजर नहीं आता उसके पास, कहाँ उसका जनरल मैनेजर आया, उसको फोटो दी, उसको इट बिकेम अ प्राइड ऑफ हिज प्लेस and JP started becoming #1 slowly. So that's the aviation industry. The aviation thought it's only the elite people who come to the airport, but we changed that. Research when we did, we found 60% of the travelers are not the elite category. So they want. So अगर आपको दिल्ली एयरपोर्ट पे तनिष्क भी है आप जैसों के लिए, तो आपको एक स्कार्फ भी मिलता है 200 रुपए का. So 200 rupees scarf, which is available to the young girl who takes a job and goes back to her hometown when she comes. So that's the kind of research. We did the world's largest survey on passenger profiling, and we created 8 segments on the basis of which Delhi Airport's retail strategy got made. And today you'll be very happy to know that 52% of revenue of Delhi Airport comes from the retail and food, etc. All those food courts you see, all the retail that you see, it's all planned, architected by our company and given to the airport industry. In your industry, there was the good old days. I don't know how many of you would know the name Westphalia separator. Anybody knows? Now it's of course part of Gia group. So Gia is a large group in the space. So they wanted to come into India for the bucket milking machines because they believe that India is the biggest market. And their hypothesis was that price is going to be a barrier. This machine at that time used to cost, about 20 years back story, 35,000 rupees. So they said price might be a barrier. So when we did the research, we found that price is not the barrier. It is the mindset of it is that subconscious mind. The farmer feels my milking life of my cow will reduce. The per yield will reduce because when I milk it with love, and this machine will not milk it with love. My buffalo or my cow will stop, lactating and things like that. So that is the more central barrier, not by price. Now, suppose they had approached the market on the basis of price and given some discounts or some credit schemes, you think they would have succeeded? No. So that's the benefit of importance of research in communication design, because you really come to know what's in the mind of your market at that point of time. Research areas which all brands need is either consumer behavior or competitive behavior. Very important, value chain behavior. Most of you spoke about the dealer as quasi-corrupt, doing some mixing, counterfeiting, etc. But it's an important part of the value chain. The consumer preferences, strategy, the brand positioning. How do you position your brand? Is your brand standing out separately, and why? Customer segmentation. Not all farmers think in the same way. So how do you create segments of customers? How do you create those influence pockets? How do you make cascading happen? So these are all aspects of different areas of research, and we could help any one of you around that. You can skip this. Basically what we are is 23 years into industry. We are driven by core values of Satya Dharma. We are a research company, but we are positioned as a decision support company. So we are not an agricultural specialist. You are the agricultural specialist. We don't come into your, you know fertilizer better than us. But we know consumer behavior better than you, or better than most brands, because we go deep into, from a fundamental level, every research we assume we know nothing. And we start from scratch, understanding what is the buyer behavior. We have multi-sector, multi-service abilities. We make things happen, not just make a report. I was talking to some of you how we made the sustainable textile market in India. 3-year campaign with Solidaridad of Netherlands. In your industry, we have done a lot of work. Some of that work is here. We made the dairy vision of the government of Assam. We studied the mandi system for cotton. For Jharkhand, we studied the farm loan waiver, and that was a national study. It was a very big study, and a major policy recommendation has at least gone from NABARD and the agricultural community to the government, because the farm loan waiver is actually eroding the credit culture in a village. Earlier, if you give loan to a village, you would get 99%, 98%, you would get it back. But that was the credit culture which is there in the rural areas. But now, because of this, people take a loan and they think next Sarkar will come, they will waive the loan, so they stop paying. So the credit culture is getting spoiled, and as a result of that, some policy issues have to be taken. So this was a policy study done after meeting thousands of farmers all across India. We did, I think Sardana ji is not here, otherwise last year he was here. So he was our client in JP Group for the soya project. So we did the catchment analysis, and we recommended that you set up a plant of only 300 TPD, because you won't get more soya than that. If you set up in a single place, Riva, you won't get more than that. In Gia, we spoke about this automatic bucket milking machine. We did India's first project on hydroponics. And the belief of the customer was that this is an expensive vegetable, so it will go to 5 stars. Now, this is the belief of the brand. But then when we go into the market, we go afresh. When we went to the 5 stars, we found that first of all, they paid absolutely low prices. They tie you up for one whole year at a very low price, no increase, no nothing. They give you money after 90 days. So you're actually not really making money. You think the 5-star is making money, but when you as a raw material provider to the 5-star, you're not making money. So we pivoted their strategy and they went into the retail area. Dairy feasibility, Umang Dairy, value-added dairy products. Any other consultant would have said, yes, it's a valid market. Lassi, chas, there's a big market. But from a logistics point of view, we found that they could not reach the market. The mother dairy and the Amul can put 2 patties of lassi into their milk van and reach at 5 o'clock in the morning. You won't be able to do that. Logistics cost will beat you. So they agreed with that, the JK group. Done diversifications in village sector. When Mahindra put Kapil Dev on the tractors, we did the communication, it bombed. The brand didn't do as well. So then they engaged us to study, and we found that Kapil Dev doesn't have a believability. So, any communication must have a memorability, a relatability, and a believability. So these 3 aspects are very important in communication. And the believability of Kapil Dev for a tractor brand was not very high. Solidaridad, since we had worked with them for sustainable textile market, they gave us the next project into soya market also. So we did work on that. We've worked across industry, handicrafts industry, aviation industry majorly. We made some major impacts on the innovation ecosystems. The country is spending thousands of crores on R&D, but what you're wanting is innovation. And the government didn't have a study of what is the relationship between R&D and innovation. So we did that national study, and now the innovation policy is being tweaked accordingly. So the government is now trying to find a way to incentivize innovation, not subsidize R&D, which was the thinking earlier. So we made some impacts on that. We benchmarked states on innovation intensity. We have related for a national study. So earlier in the 70s, those of you around would remember that everything used to be around productivity, national productivity councils, etc. 80s, everything shifted to supply chain. Supply chain management became the source of competitiveness. But now, this is a study done for IIM Bangalore, where we've now mathematically proved that the competitiveness of a country is based on the innovation ability of that country. So this is correlating innovation and competitiveness. So created new products, etc. So lots of partnership work with all our clients, lots of work done together, lots of brand building, lots of studies, lots of getting into the mind of the market, mind of the customer, mind of the value chain. And we'll be very happy to support any one of you, whoever wants to go to market in whichever way. All these are very custom-made studies for all of you. I don't want to give this fee reduction, so let me skip this slide. Look forward to maintaining a warm relationship with all of you. Made some wonderful friends over the last 3 brand summits, and this time we are the research partner also. So look forward to continuing those relationships and adding value to all of you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Now I request Mr. Amit Khare to please kindly come and felicitate our guest. Can we have a big round of applause, everyone? Thank you very much.